the World Healing Tour movement with your host, Noah Crane. Heal yourself, heal the world. Hello. Welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast, where our mission is to help you heal yourself so you can heal the world. Hi, my name is Noah Crane. Each week, we will bring you tips and tools and inspire you to live your most empowered and joy-filled life. I'm also the founder of the 3G Effect, a daily practice to keep you heart-centered in everything you do with a positive mindset and a positive attitude by taking and practicing 3 important elements. Element number 1, every day remember to have a grateful heart and connect to your gratitude. When you are connected to your gratitude, you're connected to positive feelings and positive emotions, and therefore drawing positive people, things, and experiences into your life. Element number 2, every day remember to ground in love and compassion. First, to ground in love and compassion for yourself, to learn to believe in yourself, to love yourself fully, and to grow unshakable roots in the world. And then learning to remove judgments of yourself, judgments of others, and giving out more love and compassion. We do that by learning to forgive ourselves, forgive others, come into a place of acceptance and self-love. And element number 3, every day, remember, you are not alone. Rather, you are guided on your journey, guided by God. I say God, whatever it is to you. It could be universe, higher power, source, whatever you call your higher power. I call it God. God is inside you because God created you. God is beside you. God is all around you. Open your heart and soul to God. Have faith and trust in yourself and faith and trust in your journey. You do that by turning off the noise of others and the noise of the outside world. God will send you messages and messengers just for you to help guide you on the journey. All you have to do is learn to be a good listener. I know, because my whole life has been guided by that. And I have been able to therefore find my soulmate. I've been married to my soulmate for almost 28 years. I've been able to write my book, The Grass is Greenest Where I Am. I've been able to be here with you today and get out of my own fears and my own stories just by having that connection to those 3 things. And that's what I want for you too. So World Healing Tour, heal yourself, heal the world, so you can create the impact that you desire, live your life with passion and purpose every single day. That's what we all want for each one of us to have on this journey. So that's why I bring incredible people to speak into you and to pour into you so you can live your best life. My guest today, Faust Reggiero, is a psychologist with a private practice for over 36 years, a published research author, and a professional clinical trainer. In 2016, he developed a Fix Yourself Empowerment series to help people address difficult situations in their lives. He talks about issues such as fix your anxiety, fix your depression, fix your anger. So grateful to have you here. Faust, welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast.
No, it's a pleasure to be spending time with you. Thanks for inviting me.
So great. And this is such an important topic because so many of us struggle with so many areas of our lives. And, you know, there's so many different areas of our lives that we deal with. We're emotional beings. And the first question I want to ask you is, why is it that so many of us self-sabotage?
You know, Noah, we get stuck in patterns of living and we don't want to get out of them. We have comfort zones. We have ways that we want to do things and we don't like change. So anytime something comes along that threatens that comfort zone, then we sabotage. Then we do things to keep us where we want to be. You know, it's a place where growth doesn't happen much. We don't get challenged. We don't take risks, and we think we're comfortable. But in time, those comfort zones become comfort prisons. We're stuck in them.
Yeah, and there's no growth in being comfortable, right? So what would you say would be important for people to start doing to stop being in the comfort zone? Is it just like playing full out in life or being around positive people? What are some things that you would say would make a difference for people to not be stuck in a place of comfort?
Well, there's a number of things you do. First
Mhm.
thing you do is slow down enough to be able to think about what you're doing. We tend to run our lives on autopilot. We just get up every day and follow a routine. We follow other people. I talk about setting goals and goals that are attainable and having a plan to get to those goals. And I show people how to do that. The way I like to do things is everything is, information and then action. You tell people what they need to know about a subject, then you give them the exact steps they can take in order to get there. So we really have to slow down, think about what we're doing, set some goals, and then be willing to stay consistent until we get there.
Yeah, and slowing down is a great thing for people to do because we are such a busy society. We're so much into just automatic pilot, like you said, just doing things and not really thinking about what's the consequence if I do this? What's the consequence if I do that? Kind of seeing the bigger picture of our actions. Would you say that's something that we need to look at?
Yeah, you always want to know the big picture, and then you want to take the little steps to get you there. Oftentimes, one of the reasons people don't try new things is because they're trying to do too much at one time. So seeing the bigger picture, knowing where you want to go, that's great. Then you need that step-by-step process that's going to get you there. And then that's always my focus with people. Let's set goals. Let's set whether they're therapeutic goals or goals in life, the things that you want to change or achieve. You're not going to get there all at one time. You're going to get there with little steps that get you to the larger, bigger picture.
Yeah, I like the little steps. Can you give us an example of a little step towards something that somebody can take in their life to achieve a goal, for example?
Let's take something a non-therapeutic thing. Let's say, and
Mhm.
I write about this in one of the books. You're going to set up a business. Let's say, you're going to say, "Gee, I'm going to set up a pastry shop." Well, my big picture goal, that long-term goal, is getting that shop up and running and
Mhm.
serving what I want to serve, make a profit, that type of thing. But in order to get there, I have to set some smaller goals. Maybe get a business certificate so I understand how to run the business, raising the money to get it started, selecting locations, putting menus together, all those kinds of things. You're going to do all those little things that are going to get you to the bigger step. It may be, getting a car that you need to go. You need new transportation, whatever it may be. All these little steps get you to the point that you can set up your business. And what makes people have a difficult time is that they get scared because this big picture looks so big, and they say, "How am I going to get there?" Well, how did all the rest of us get there? How am I where I am today? Well, I started with college and training programs and different places to work, and then private practice, then writing books. It's always the little steps that get you where you want to go.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, like you said, a lot of people get very overwhelmed, right? And so overwhelm can also freeze you and keep you from taking any steps forward. How can people help themselves not to get overwhelmed just by like slowing down, like you said, and thinking of the little first step they can take or getting maybe support from somebody else?
Well, it's all of those things.
Hmm.
You slow down enough, and then you start thinking. You just know what you want, and then you may need help, and that's always good to talk to other people. Another reason that people don't do things is we don't get out of our head. We get the idea in our head, and we start thinking about it. Then, when it doesn't move in any direction because we haven't done anything about it, it dies. And then we do it again, and we do it again. Then we feel as though we can't get things done. So, I always tell people, if you've got something you want to change, talk about it with someone. Slow down enough. Get a plan. You have to have a step-by-step plan that's going to lead you from one step to the other. Talk about that with other people.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And, I actually have done a lot of self work. And one of the courses that I took, Landmark Education, they say being in your head is like being in a bad neighborhood. And it's kind of true because, it's kind of, and also like got an idea, so what, right? A lot of people have idea. A lot of people die with their ideas because they're too afraid to take the action. And it's about, like you said, just, it's not about, reinventing the wheel. There's so much resources out there today. And I think that, we get in our own way by, self-sabotaging, having the fears and all these anxieties that you talk about. And I feel like that stops a lot of people.
It does. One of the things I talk a lot about is internal language and the way we talk to ourselves.
Mhm.
If we're angry and we talk to ourselves and they're angry thoughts, we probably will be angry. If we're talking to ourselves as though we're failures or we can't do something, we probably won't.
Mhm.
If you're going to be successful, then the internal language has to be positive. It has to be free of anger. It has to be free of holding on to old things, traumas and pains. We've got to forgive who we have to forgive, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
We have to get positive in our own head because we spend most of our time there, and it's like you say, if the neighborhood is shabby and broken down, we're not going to get out of it. But when we start putting positive language in there, and it's not difficult. It's just that, I can do this. Okay, I have to get the steps. I have to talk to someone else. I'm going to do this.
Mhm.
I'm going to stay committed. I'm going to do what I have to do every day.
Mhm.
I'm not going to give myself permission to fail. Those types of things that we say in our head, those are the things that translate into success.
Mm. Yeah, so that sounds to me like a lot of positive affirmations. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think positive affirmations really help people get their mind straight, their mind more on the right, thinking more positive?
Yeah. When I counsel and when I write, I always use those in all my books. I've got 4 books in it, and at the end of every chapter,
Mm-hmm.
I give them information. I give them the steps. These are the exact things you should do. I don't want to just give you information. I want to give you the route to get there. And then after I do that, I always have a positive affirmation, a declaration, I call it, something that's going to help you motivate yourself with respect to whatever we talked about in that chapter.
Mm. I like that because people really need the tools.
Mhm.
And if you don't have the tools, then, that's empowerment, right? What we're talking about. When you have tools, you have something you can take out of your pocket and use to help you in that situation rather than get, again, back into your head, frozen again, and not taking the actions that you want to. And what amazes me is how things change when we start taking action. Like I have to keep myself busy as far as like serving others. I think there's so much freedom in not making it about yourself, right? But in really serving others and being with community, being with other people, because we grow around others.
And we do. I'm the same. My life is defined and always has been by being in service of other people. That is my primary reason in my mind to be here. So when I'm helping people, my goal is to give them information. However,
Mhm.
information without action, without a plan to execute it, will die. People will say, "Yeah, I know all that, but I don't know what to do with it." It's like if you come into counseling and say, "Here's all the information you need," and then I say, "Okay, fine, see you next week." I don't know that you want to come back, but if I'm able to say, "Here's the information. Now let's take that, and these are the action steps you need to take to put that into a plan into your life." Now you're more likely to come back and you have something to hold on to. There are those tools you're talking about.
Mhm.
So, I'm always about information that can be turned into action.
Yeah, I love that. And we're really hard on ourselves, aren't we? We are really tough on ourselves. We have high expectations of ourselves, and if things don't go exactly the way we thought they should, we beat ourselves up, and I think that those part of things not going exactly like you wanted to, that's part of your growth. That's part of getting to the next step. So it's like there's no right or wrong. It's just like just do it and you'll see how the growth will happen over time.
You're right, and it has to be your own statement. We tend to look at other people, see what we define as their success, whether that's true or not. But we define that, and then we say, "Well, I need to do that, and I can't do it. So now there's something wrong with me, or I'm depressed, or I'm envious because I can't do that or have that. What they're doing is their statement, and you have no idea what's going on in their life. It could be horrible, and there you just happen to see a good part of it.
Mhm.
You know, what I always say is you make your own statement. You decide what you want to do, have your plan, your way to get there, and then you create your life. You don't try to copy someone else's.
Yeah, and in my book, "The Grass is Greenest Where I Am," I talk about no comparison, no competition, and no scarcity. Living in your own love and light and sharing your unique gifts with the world, because we're all unique. And what you just said is that, like, we compare ourselves so often to other people, and we think their life is so much better than our lives. But again, you see a snapshot, I'm sorry, on social media. You have no idea what their life is a second later or a second before.
No, you don't.
Mhm.
And the other thing is, if you're going to give a gift, for myself, I don't copy someone else's counseling technique. I don't try to be like some other author or whatever it may be. I'm an individual. I'm unique. I have a talent and I have gifts
Mhm.
that no one else has, and we all have that. So when we talk about making that personal statement, we talk about giving a gift to ourselves and to the rest of the world that no one else on the planet can give. And that's what I think you have to focus on, what your talents are, define what your talents are. That's what empowerment's all about.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And how important is it, would you say, to love yourself? I feel like that's part of the struggle that people have is they don't think they don't love themselves enough to think they deserve to be abundant. They deserve to live their passion and purpose. How important is it to that self-work to know that you deserve that?
Well, that's the key to things. Again, it's an undefined thing we're trying to get people to do. You see it everywhere. You've got to love yourself, and then anyone that hears that, and seen this thousands of times, they'll say, "That's great. How do I do that?"
Mhm.
Because we're not setting a plan out. And in my first book, that's what I'm talking about. Getting to something I call pure love of yourself. But I give people all the steps to get there. You've got to create a world that you feel comfortable in, one that you're accomplishing in. Then you can get to be self-love. Self-love is just such an ambiguous concept. And when I tell people when I start talking with them about that, they'll all say, "Well, how do I even know when I get there?" And that's a very, very accurate question.
Mhm.
So, I give them steps to help them purge of all the negativity and then move in a direction where step by step you're going to get there. And if you do what I tell you to do, it's impossible to fail. It's not that
Mhm.
again, like you said, it's not like I threw something out there that is revolutionary. It's the stuff we need to do that's always been there.
Mhm.
I just put it into a design. That's all.
Yeah, and I love what you did with the Fix Yourself series because I think that we all need to fix ourselves, There's always room for improvement if we want to live our best lives and we want to be, our happiest, most joyful self. So there's always room to grow. If anybody tells you, hey, I'm here and I don't need to fix anything in my life, I think that everybody has room to grow. We're here to grow. As long as we're alive, we're here to become who we're meant to be. And so, one of the way that I see self-love, and this is just my own thing that I came up with, right, is that I'm here, right? I'm up here. Now, I love myself enough to keep myself in, with my values, my high standards as a person, right? Now, I'm not going to climb down for anybody else to be less of who I am. So if somebody wants to be with me, let's say in the past when I was dating, the guy would have to be able to come up to where I was, right? To be able to be with me. And the ones that wouldn't would just fall away, So I think it's loving yourself enough to not compromise who you are. For me, that's part of self-love.
Yeah, and it is. It's what you want to maintain once you're there.
Mhm.
Uh, my concern is always helping people to get there.
Mhm.
That's the key. Most of them start down below because they don't have self-worth. They have things and people in their lives that didn't go well. It hurt them. They've believed a lot of those things for so many years. So my goal is to help them get to the point where they can see what that's all about, where they can define it so that when they ask themselves the question, what is my self-love all about? They have an answer for it. That's what I want them to do. Because if you have that answer, okay, this is what I think it is. Now I can move in that direction. But if they don't know what it is, they don't know how to get there, they're going to get stuck.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And part of it of self-love, I think, also is eliminating the things in your life that are not bringing you peace, love, and joy. Would you say that's part of
Well, in
self-love?
counseling, the first thing I do with people is help them purge.
Hmm.
I say, okay, let's get the negative things out of there
Hmm.
because that's like you're trying to stay afloat and you've got an anchor tied to your ankle.
Hmm.
So let's get the negative things, the negative people, the negative things you're doing to yourself.
Hmm.
Let's get those things out of the way first. And and they all come in, wanting to change some particular thing, but not they don't want to purge. You purge first so that those things don't hold you back. Otherwise, as you try to move forward, they're going to keep holding you back. So we purge first, then we define goals, and then we look at all the things we need to do to get there.
Yeah, that's great. Eliminate what's not working, purge, whatever you call it. It's great because I believe that, like you said, if it's weighing you down, how can you fly, right? How can you become, free within yourself? And I think the whole goal of life, as part of what I see it, is coming back to you, coming back to your true essence, you're truly who you are. And we do that by, of course, peeling the layers of the things that are not working in our lives so we can, integrate with the things that are and that we truly desire.
Right? And the way to get there again is action. The feedback I get all the time, and it's actually what I looked at when I was doing the research for the books, is that there was a lot of information, but no one was saying, okay, based on this, do all these things. So, in the first book, there are 36 chapters, all different kinds of things. And then the action steps, six, seven, eight, whatever they were at the end of each chapter. And I've written every book in the same format. So they're, 7 or 8 pages. Here's all the information. You don't have to read it long. Here's all the action steps. If we're talking about uh, working with some part of the anger process, here's what you need to do about this. And then, an affirmation. But then they have the roadmap. That's what I wanted for them, a roadmap, not just information, because the information without a roadmap often dies. So I wrote it that way, and then I wrote it as a reference book. So, a year later, you say, gee, I'm doing this all over again. I can go right back to that chapter and I can get those action steps again. And that's what we do in counseling. So, it simulates what a good counseling session is all about.
So part of you being a psychologist, is that how you are so passionate about helping people fix themselves because you have seen how many people struggle with that?
Yeah, but again, it's part of being a service person. I still love what I'm doing after all these years. Even though I'm writing and I'm all over the place doing interviews, I'm still counseling, so I keep myself fresh that way. And I love the people that I'm working with. So, for me, it was an extension of being in the office and working with them every day, and then being able to put those experiences into various settings like anger or depression or anxiety, whatever it may be, and give them the same type of information they'd be getting in a counseling session.
Yeah, so as far as fix your anger, let's talk about that. What are some tools? Because anger definitely is a negative emotion, right? And when you're angry, you're not connecting to positive feelings, positive emotions. You're in the left side of the brain, you're in negative emotions, you're in fear, whatever is coming up for you. So knowing, somebody who's just reactive and just automatically very emotional, is walking around with all that anger, what are some tools they can use to start, being able to let go of some of that anger? What are some things you could share with the audience?
The first tool is to be able to define what type of anger you have. In the book, I have 17 different kinds of anger in there. And because anger is not just, I get angry and I explode. That's rapid anger. There may be passive aggressive anger or retaliatory anger, things like so it's important to understand what type of anger you have. Coping devices, we have them there, and that's nice, but what I like people to understand is that anger is not just an emotion. We are treating people the wrong way with anger. So I want them to understand that it's physical first, then it goes emotional, then it gets to your intellect. And when you go into counseling, unfortunately, most people are treating it backward. They're saying, "Well, let's see what happens with the way you're thinking." Well, yeah, if your body is so accelerated and so tight and so wrapped, in that fight or flight all the time, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter how much you think, it's going to keep on happening. So I train them. First coping thing, if you will, is to get the body healthy and purge all the things you shouldn't be doing, like the accelerants and the drugs and the alcohol and those. Get those things that are contributing to anger out of the way. People, places, and things. Another thing that you want to deal with. We talk about emotions and putting them on hold just a bit. I do a thing in all my books called I over E, which is intellect over emotion. Let's get your brain to engage first. Take a step back. Think about something. All right, I feel like I'm getting angry. Let me take a step back here. Let me remove myself from the situation if I need to. Let me think about what I want to do before I just explode.
Mhm.
So I teach them all those kind of techniques, and it works. So all the people that come in my office angry leave with significantly less anger than they had when they walked in.
Yeah, and I grew up with rapid anger. My stepdad was a very angry person, and he would just explode. And like you said, it starts with the physical, right? It's like the tensing and all that. And, it was very hard for me to grow up in that kind of environment as a child, to have somebody that just, but, he had no tools. He just, for whatever reason, whether it's his childhood or whatever happened in his life. But you think that, like, people with rapid anger, it's probably pretty challenging for them to stop that anger and be able to just pause and walk away. That probably takes a lot of training, right?
Well, it does, but the other thing I always get my people to do is before we start the anger training, I get them back to their primary care physician and I say, look, let's get the blood tests done. Let's make sure your thyroid is where it needs to be. Hormonally, things are okay. Let's make sure physically there isn't anything, high blood pressure, those kinds of things. Um, let's make sure that there's nothing physical that's triggering this, or at the very least, giving you the environment for it to exist. So we get the physical out of the way first. I want them to see their doctor. I want them to understand if something is going wrong physically. People with overactive thyroids act fast. People who have chemical imbalances, if you will, they can react fast. Um, Hormonal issues, always high blood pressure. The body is already in those situations already primed. So now something happens, it's a quick trigger, and there's the rapid anger. So let's get the body healthy first.
Mm. That makes a lot of sense. And you have to want to do that for yourself. I mean, a lot of people don't think there's a problem with them. You could see that on the road, right? With road rage, how people react to different situations. It's like the smallest thing can get them like to explode within themselves. So you have to want that. And, that's why I say you got to heal yourself to heal the world. You can't help anybody else until you do the inner work within yourself.
And that's people look at that and say, well, now they want me to deal with my anger, or this work is going to fix me, or it's a chore. And I say, this is your life. You
Mhm.
should love that life.
Mhm.
You should love getting up every day
Mhm.
and working on yourself. I've been doing this. I'm in my 60s. I've been doing this for 45 years with people, and I still get up every day and say, let's make this just a little better. What kind of things can I do? I still do that, and I think that's probably why I love helping people so much, because I'm still working on me. It's an unfinished product,
Mhm.
but it's something I absolutely enjoy doing. I don't look at working on myself as a chore. I look at it as a gift.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's the insights you get, right? It's our own ugliness, right? We all have like a part of us that is not as beautiful as maybe we want it to be. But it's also beautiful because we're open to like changing it and being aware more of how we behave.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And that's what leads to feeling good about yourself. If you're willing just to get up every day and say, okay, new day. I'm going to really do the best I can in all the various parts of my life. And I talk about, being physically healthy, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. There's a balance, and if you can balance those four attributes out, uh, you know, uh, and that's what I talk about specifically in the first book. It's about getting to internal balance. That's what makes us happy when our emotions are not overriding the intellect, when we're not overthinking things, when our bodies aren't going so fast, when we can't connect with that essence, that spirit, so to speak, inside us. When we have all those can'ts in our life, then we feel the stress and the anxiety and the anger that comes from that, and depression, all those things. However, when we work on those, and just little by little every day, it gets better, and we start to see that things are changing.
Mhm. Yeah. And as far as anxiety goes, I wanted to move over to anxiety.
Mhm.
A lot of people are dealing with anxiety these days. Just with everything, just watching the news, seeing what's going on in the world, it creates a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. And I think, that is something that can also lead to a lot of negative feelings, a lot of negative emotions, and keep you from a place of action and creativity and truly living your purpose in life.
Well, it can, and whether it's anger or depression or anxiety, it's the same basic format. You start with your body, you work through, get your emotions in check. You work with what you're thinking. With anxiety, there are two types. Some people will think themselves into anxious situations and they'll respond to whatever they see coming at them. Other people, their bodies are primed all the time for anxiety. They're operating at an accelerated pace, at a more intense pace all the time. You're really starting with the same thing. Get to your doctor, make sure everything physically is okay. Get the blood work done. Make sure everything's okay. And then with anxiety, what I tell a huge thing I want to get people to work on is when it starts, try not to intellectually connect it to something. That, the anxiety starts and we try to figure out why it's there. You'll find something. That's easy. But what I tell people to do is say, oh, the anxiety's there. There's my body misfiring again. Then they focus on their body and they do things to calm their body down. Interestingly enough, when they do that, most of the anxiety dissipates.
And how important is gratitude for being able to be with these emotions?
There's two types of gratitude. And it's the one that people work most with is being thankful. I got this happened to me. I always wanted that. It happened. And now they're so thankful for it. And they think that's gratitude. That is not gratitude. That is being thankful. That's, I got what I wanted and I'm happy. Gratitude is something that's inside us all the time. We are grateful just because we got up today, and we're grateful for every little thing that happened because the gratitude is inside us already. So regardless of what happens in our life, it comes into a pool of gratitude, if you will, to a place where the gratitude's already there, and and our internal gratitude then wraps around everything else. That's what gratitude is.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I walk with that gratitude every day in my life. And it's inside of you, like you said, it's inside of you, but yet you can also appreciate when good things happen for you. Like I always feel like, I always thank God for everything in my life because I just feel like I'm always protected. I have so much faith and trust in myself and my journey. And I feel like gratitude has a flow to it, right? Gratitude is not like a stuck emotion, like you're angry, you have anxiety, you have depression, you're bumping walls, right? But when you're grateful, right? There's a flow to gratitude. It's not a stuck feeling, right? And so I just believe if people connect more to that gratitude inside of them, like you said, they're able to connect more to the positive feelings and positive emotions in their lives.
And we are. When we can do that,
Mhm.
we're not looking for grandiose things to make us happy. That's another thing. People are
Mhm.
constantly looking for destinations that are going to make them feel good. When I get there, I'll be happy. If I could just have that happen, I'll be happy. No, you won't.
Mhm.
You'll keep it's an acquisition merry-go-round. It never stops. Gratitude, when you have it, you don't really care about what happens because you're going to be grateful for everything. You can be happy that something, you can be thankful that something happened, but it doesn't have to. If it doesn't happen, you don't care. And when you and interestingly, when you compare your gratitude with your humility, now you're in a whole different place.
Mhm.
Now you're willing to learn and you're grateful for every little movement that comes into your life. You never stop learning because humility tells you that you're not wise enough
Mhm.
to ever stop. You don't reach a point where you have it all. And when you put gratitude and humility together, you have the foundation for wisdom. And and when you get to the point that you're acquiring wisdom based on those two attributes, life is a whole different place to be.
Yeah, and we love wisdom. How would you define to be humility? What did you say that word? I forgot how you said
Humility,
humility.
yeah,
Yeah.
to be
See, I told
humble,
you.
to
Yeah.
be not to be boisterous, not to feel as though you know everything, to be willing to, be more internal, to be a person that doesn't have to be out there and have everyone in the world looking at you and being someone that you're not.
So being down to earth and not having a big ego, would
Yes,
you say that's part of it?
absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah, that.
When you're doing that, when you're slowing your pace down, you're going down to earth, and you're being humble. You're being grateful for everything in your
Mhm.
life. You can connect with the spirit. I, like you, am very thankful over and over a day. I'll thank God for what I have. I don't ask for much,
Mhm.
but even the littlest things, I'll be thankful for because it keeps my gratitude going and keeps my connection with my soul, which is what I want.
Beautiful. And would you think that having gratitude would help people more with is that something that you work with your patients on
Mhm.
to be able to get through anxiety and anger? Is that something that makes a difference for them to be able to shift from like, I hate my life, I'm so angry all the time, I have so much fear to a more positive place? Does that help
Yeah.
them?
Those are the statements that come out of that internal dialogue. So
Mhm.
when they say that, I hate this, I say, well, let's back down and let's break what you say you hate down.
Mhm.
Let's talk about little bitty things and let's see how much you really, how bad your life really is. And when they come in and they do that, they say, well, it's not really as bad as it was. And I say, no, but what you did is you trained your brain to look for everything negative.
Mhm.
That's what you did. And so your thoughts are negative. So even when the good things happen in your life, you will somehow downplay them and look at the negative side of it. And for the rest of us that want to be happy, we're going to find positive things in anything.
Mhm.
I mean, I always tell people that come into my office, here we are in this country. If you're here, you probably have almost everything you need. You just don't have all the things you want. But how important are those wants?
Mhm.
You know? And then they start looking at that and they realize, I do have everything I need. I don't really want anything, but the new iPhone came out and it cost $2,000. My God, I've got to have that. I can't have it now. I'm angry. Well, that's insane, I tell them. Think about that. That's what you're angry about. You went home. It's cool in the winter, summertime. It's hot in the wintertime. You have food. You have medical care. Your people around you. You have love. You have everything you need. What in the world do you not have that you need? And they start redefining that these things that are making them unhappy are not about needs. They're about desires.
Yeah, I like how you differentiate those two. And you know what I hear a lot in what you're saying is like be grateful for the obstacles. Like the obstacles, pour gratitude into the obstacles. Like they're here just as a way for you to overcome and to find solutions. They're not here to hurt you. You know, when you stop seeing the world as a victim, right? And I'm sure you see that a lot in your practice. You know, people who see, everything's happening to them, that will create the anger and the anxiety and all that rather than seeing that it's happening for them.
You know, Noah, obstacles, you can look at two different ways. You can say, oh my God, there it goes again. I can't do that. Or you can say, ooh, an obstacle. I'm going to go and get that and I'm going to beat it. Which frame of mind do you want to be in?
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. When I get something that comes my way and it looks difficult, I look at it and say, okay, I'm going to go get that. Now, I may get it right away and I get it right, and that's great. Or I may have to struggle with it, but I'll learn a whole bunch of things along the way and I'm going to put myself in a position to be successful. So I look at the obstacle as a gift.
Yeah. Because some of the work that I do is that to see the gift and opportunity in everything. Everything's a gift and opportunity if we choose to see it that way. And sometimes it's hard, especially when, people have losses or things like that. You're not going to right away see the gift and opportunity in something that devastating, right? But we have to keep moving forward, because if we stay left behind, we're just cheating ourselves out of our purpose, and being able to, make those people proud of us that are no longer here. Because the journey is for the, I hate to say it, but the life is for the living. We have to continue moving forward to help each other grow.
An interesting thing that I've um, experienced through all the years I've been counseling people as that, what it comes down to is really your ability to have faith in yourself, and if you can, in something bigger than yourself. And I find that people who have faith have less of either have both have less of these problems and to a lesser degree, because they already know that they're going to come through this. Why would they not? That's what faith is all about. It's unconditional. So, again, eventually my life will end. Until that time, the Lord gives me what I need. I'm going to go, those are the breaths I get every day to run, to live my life. And I intend to maximize all of them. So, it's a gift. And if you look at challenges as something that's going to tear you down, or here I go again, then I think your faith is questionable. And maybe you want to think about, working on that a little bit too, because if you have enough faith in yourself and in your higher power, you are going to get to the point that in any situation, you're going to be successful. It may take a while, but you'll get there.
Mm. I really believe in faith, having faith and trust in ourselves, and faith and trust in our journey, because I believe that it gets us through anything, like you said, and, the deeper our faith is, the deeper we have a belief in a higher power, that we're not alone, that we're supported on our journey, that we're, those beliefs do give you so much comfort. And when we focus just like on one thing, or one problem, or one situation, when so many things in our lives are so great, we do cause ourselves more anger and more anxiety. Would you say that?
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Hmm.
We allow one thought,
Hmm.
which, on a scale of 1 to 10, so to speak, should be a 1. We turn it into an 8 or a 9. And then before you know it, there's no room, no intellectual, emotional room to work on anything else. And, we're very good at taking negative things and expanding them into all the parameters of our life where they do not belong. So again, that's where you take a step back and you think about, what exactly is this? What can I do with it? Let's get a plan to get this out of there. How important is it really? And stop emoting about it. Get the information you need. If you're going to emote, you should, and that is show your emotions. You should be showing your emotions on something realistic, and something that has all the necessary information so that you can understand it.
Yeah, and I believe that makes sense, that a lot of people also have tunnel vision, right? Because we can only see what we can see. We don't always see the full picture, And in the full picture, whatever's happening to you right now could be the biggest gift in your life, And you don't even know it, because you're so tunnel vision into the problem that you can't see beyond that problem into, like, maybe this is happening because I'm supposed to be moving my life to a different place, and it's going to make it even better. So, it's just being open to receive whatever it is, and not getting stuck in that it's the end of the world because something happened.
Yeah, I just tell people, don't react.
Hmm.
The moment something happens, don't react. Okay, I'm not, and say those things to yourself. I am not going to react now. That's the first thing I tell people. You start your language right there. I'm not going to react to that. I am going to take a step back. I'm going to get some more information. That's the first thing I tell people. When people do that, they cut their anxiety and their anger and all those negative reactions in half quickly, and they give their brain, and the very fact that you said it, I'm not going to do that, that's your brain, that's your intellect talking. So that left side is now saying, I'm not jumping into this. And you've already got it working. Now you can take a step back and say, let me look at all the things that I have to look at here, and let me get the right information so I know what I need to do and how I'm going to react to that.
Mm. I really enjoy what you said. That's a great tool to just say, I'm not going to react right now. Take that time to yourself to, to process it, right? And my sister's very wise. She's actually 8 years younger than me. And she always used to tell me, I'd be like, oh, but I love this guy. I love him. I need to be with him. And my sister would be like, Noah, love is not enough for a great life. And she goes, the reason your head is above your heart is because you're supposed to think with your head, right? With your intellect, not with your heart. And, her advice was really wise because, sometimes we think too much with our emotions and with our heart, and we forget to use the intellect.
Exactly. And that's you're just taking a step back. And really what you're saying is, okay, I'm not going to react to this. I'm going to engage my brain.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking a step back, and in my life routinely, if something happens and it's something that you would, push an anger button or push an emotional button, my default reaction is to exhale, go down and say, okay, let's get more information. And anything that happens all the time, I do not react. And I'm not telling you that that I'm some special person. I've just trained myself to do that, and we all can do that. If I can do it, anyone can. So you just take a step back, give your brain enough time to think about what you want to do. Because the bottom line is your brain is going to engage. You can decide to engage it after all the damage is done and collateral stuff has happened and you got to fix things. And it will happen then because your emotions will calm down, as will your body. Or you can calm both of those down first, let your brain have its say, and not deal with all the damage.
Hmm. That is
You're gonna pay it in the beginning, you're gonna pay it in the end. Pick.
No, that is really, really powerful. It's training your mind, because your mind has to, be able to slow down, like you said, and to be able to process things. Because if you're not processing things, you're going to get into the emotions.
That's
And
right.
when the emotions take over, forget it. The anger is going to come up, the anxiety is going to come up, the fears are going to come up, all those things. It's just like a pool of negativity, right?
Right. So when you don't do that, you also give yourself a chance to put positive thought in.
Mhm.
I'm not going to react to this is step number one. I'm going to think about that. Step number two, okay, now I'm going to get a plan to deal with it. And I can put positive energy into that because I'm going to need it to solve the issue or at the very least to deal with what is coming my way. So it's a stepping stone program, if you will, to not react, to think, and to put positive action into what you're doing. And it's very simple to do, but it takes some time to learn. And I tell people, learning is a process of repetition over time. So if you think you're going to get it in the first week, you're off track. You're going to take some time. You're going to retrain your brain to do something different than you've been doing for maybe decades. And you will get there, but just keep doing it.
Mm. Yes, it's all about repetition, like you said. Even when I practice for my speeches, my coach is like, repetition, repetition, repetition. Like that's the only way you're going to get better. So
Right.
it makes a huge difference. As far as one tool that I've been using a lot with my daughter, I have an 18-year-old daughter. And so it doesn't always work, but what I try to do is come from a place of curiosity, with her, rather than a place of, judging what she's doing or getting upset with what she's doing, but getting curious about it. And I think that is also a great tool. And also having empathy, right? Having empathy and curiosity, leads to more positive emotions.
Well, it does. And what I always counsel people to do is instead of reacting or quickly telling someone they're wrong or trying to give advice, just ask questions. If they say, I think it's this way, and you look at it and say, my God, that's not correct, then what I tell people to do is just ask questions and have them give you more information. And what you'll find is if they have the information, you'll learn. If they don't have the information, they will, because they'll say, oh, I don't know. I don't even know how I got there. And they'll have to go find it. Questions and questions also validate that you're listening to them, and questions validate that you're interested in what they have to say. It's a
Yeah.
great way to communicate and never have to deal with any anger or confrontation. You just ask nice, like you're talking to a friend. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Well, tell me more about it.
Yeah, because nobody likes to be controlled. And
No.
so if you're coming from like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you're trying to control, right? But if I come to her like, hey, we talked about your room. Do you think it looks really as organized as it should, or could it be better? Like you're just kind of like coming from that point of view. She did not coming back defensive towards you, and you can actually bring, keep the love between you instead of, the resentment and like, she's trying to tell me what to do because nobody likes that.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it kind of eliminates that struggle. So that's what I found, and just to have more empathy. I feel like we should need more empathy towards each other, even towards somebody that's angry, right? Even that somebody towards somebody that has anxiety. Like we need to be more empathetic to these people because they're on their journey. And even though they have to do their own self work, nobody's going to fix somebody else. You have to fix yourself. That's why your series is called Fix Yourself. To have empathy for people instead of being judging them and being angry with them and causing more anger within yourself. If we could use empathy as a tool, it will make the world a much more, because we all want more love and compassion, but we're not always willing to give it out.
Exactly. So, that's the way I live life and it works. And if you're willing to, the key is to be committed to it and consistent and do it every day as often as you can. Some days will be better than others, but stay with the plan. That's all.
No, this is some great advice. And as far as depression goes, you also say fix your depression. What are some things that they're dealing with that you also do the blood work and the check probably with them
Mhm.
as well, right?
I do. And more so with depression, just because a lot of times depression is purely physical. Depression, you can get depressed over, someone passed away or you lost something significant, and that can trigger a depression. But usually you're able to, in a short period of time, work your way through that. But when the depression lasts and it's challenging, it puts you in a position where it challenges everything you're doing. Then I would say, then it's time, let's make sure that your neurotransmitters are working well, the chemicals that stimulate your brain. Let's make sure they're working well. Again, hormonal things, thyroid, all that kind of stuff. Let's get the physical things out of the way first. Oftentimes, most times, if we get the physical in order, then being able to get the emotional and intellectual to cooperate is a lot easier. But and it's really not fair to people to say, well, I'm going to give you some coping skills and some things to work through your depression when it may be physical. That puts them in a position to be trying things that may never work only because we didn't go to the physical first. Let's get that out of the way first.
Yeah, no, that's important, especially with depression, because there's a lot of chemical imbalances sometimes within
Exactly.
people. So I think that's really important. I also think diet is and exercise,
Always.
right, helps you be in a more positive emotion, more positive space because you're moving energy. You're not, you're putting better things in your body. You're hydrating yourself. All those things help you be more balanced.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this was a great conversation. How can people find you, connect with you? I would love for you to share that with the audience.
Yeah, the best way to find me is on my website. It is my name, FaustReggiero.com. Everything about me, the books, everything that I do is on that website. There are excerpts from the books so you can see what they're like, uh, the media things I've done, and there's a contact link there that they can check into if anyone wants to contact me. I do get back to people.
Great. I think it's great to have, therapists and psychologists that can help us on this journey because I really believe nobody can do this successfully on their own. We all need others to help us through, our struggles because we all have struggles. I don't know any person that struggles with, that has no struggles, right? So the work is, and it's beautiful to just keep working on who you are. Is there any last thing that you wanted to say about inner work before we end, or anything that we talked about?
The thing I tell people is that you've got everything inside you already to do this. Don't look at this as though these are skills you just never could connect to. Everything we need is already inside us. We just have to be willing to get the junk, so to speak, out of the way, purge those things, and then access those strengths. Learn how to use them, make them a productive part of our daily life. We can all do this. It just takes time,
Time and faith and trust, right?
right?
Beautiful. Thank you. That's a lot of wisdom there, a lot of incredible words that you poured into our audience today. So thank you so much, Faust, for being on my World Healing Tour podcast today.
It has been a pleasure. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our show. Till next time, remember to have a grateful heart, to ground in love and compassion, and to know every day that you are not alone, you're guided by God. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Namaste.